What is really interesting nowadays with consumer behavior is that for many, many decades, whether you were a brand or a network, you had to communicate through three main channels, which were TV, newspapers, and the radio. The consumer has changed. The way to communicate to consumers has changed. Why? Because now they are totally empowered to fight back, to comment, to engage more, and to share and impact the world. This is why nowadays we need to understand better how they think, memorize, influence, and be influenced by others. This is why we need to revisit entirely the concept of consumer behavior. Consumers are no longer people that are receiving. They are receiving and giving, and we must take this into account. What is really interesting is that we've known for decades that there is a huge gap between what people say and what they do. Despite knowing this fact, a lot of strategies nowadays are still based on what people answer, on what people say and share consciously. But how do we tap in the unconscious mechanisms that drive consumer behavior, decisions, influence? Today, thanks to the portability of many new technologies that allow to record where people are looking, like eye tracking, evaluate their emotional reaction, and even their brain activity on site, in a supermarket, in a store, in a classroom, we're able to measure accurately what is revealed thanks to questionnaires and surveys, meaning what people think they do or what people say they do, and to measure the gap with what people actually do on site in real life. And the main insight will come from an accurate measure of a gap between what they say and what they do. I developed a method that allows to very precisely measure in many contexts the gap between what people say and what people do. And this is how we better understand consumer behavior. And regardless, we're talking about public health or private communication and strategy, we have new insights in order to further our understanding of consumer behavior and deliver something that is absolutely operational. It's rooted in science, but it's something that can definitely change the way we communicate and we market. Emorationality is something that emerged from findings in behavioral and brain sciences. Interestingly, as humans, we really fancy boxes. We like to categorize friends, enemies, emotions, and rationality. This is what our brain is producing. But what our brain is producing is not revealing how our brains are actually functioning. There is no such dichotomy between emotion and rationality in the human brain. You need both. Those areas and networks of the brain that were identified as more involved in rational thinking, decision-making, and planning require those areas involved in emotions in order to function properly, and vice versa. Emorationality is about stopping to categorize in a very dichotomic way our strategies, but more to root our decisions, our strategies, our way to communicate. Emorationality is about looking at real humans in their real environments and not only models of people who would make informed decisions all the time. We make decisions that sometimes do not make sense, but it's actually a fact of life. We need to embrace biases. We need to embrace all the things that influence us in order to understand better consumer behavior. This is rooted in science, but it's actually totally operational thanks to technology and our advances in understanding human brain and behavior.